Hey, I'm Michael Dorinda,
And I'm Jake Bennett.
and welcome to episode 196 of the North Meets South Web Podcast.
All right, folks, we are on another blitz. My son is at a movie, and I have to go pick him up at some point. I don't know when that text is going to come in, but when it does, I'm going to have to we're just going to stop right where we're at in the middle of talking, whatever we're talking about. So let's get it in the meantime. Michael, how's the World Cup watching? You're watching a lot of the World Cup stuff, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going really good. It's I'm 39 now, so I have spent the majority of my life not following, not watching, not enjoying, thinking I would not enjoy soccer. You know, the world game and all of that.
Right.
It wasn't until Eli started playing that I've started to get into it, and especially now that we're into the round of 32, it's been exceptional. You know, the Canada game the other day was really good against South Africa.
South Africa.
We had the two, the back-to-back penalty shootouts yesterday where both the favorites went bye-bye, like no European teams. The EU wants to have more European teams in the World Cup that, clearly they weren't good enough to qualify.
Yep.
And now the first two European teams that played both got eliminated. So,
oh man.
Sorry to the Netherlands. Sorry to Germany. Too bad.
Good day, mate. We'll see ya.
4 years.
Yeah.
I don't. We'll be following them on Saturday morning by 5
on the next flight.
It'll be all over.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I have not been watching as much as I would like to, but it's been enjoyable following it and the other dudes that are in some of our chats, like watching it and stuff. I don't know. I feel like I'm regretting the fact that I haven't watched as much. So I should probably just start tuning in. That's the story here.
Yeah. I mean, the final 32 is where it's at. Even the 16 is good gear. I didn't realize David Hemphill was such a
I know.
Soccer
Same.
Head. He's running. He was real aggressive about it too.
Oh yeah, he was. He knew what he was talking about.
The US. I'm like,
yes.
Come on, you guys. What's it like to lose to Turkey? Never lost to Turkey. Couldn't tell you. And then he starts trying to the excuses. You played our B team.
Well, that is true, though. That is true. Excuses, I don't know a whole lot, but that is true. And I mean, okay, so think about it this way. If you know you're advancing, you're not going to play your best players. You don't want to get injuries. You don't want to get yellow cards. You don't want to get right. Come on.
That's right. Yeah.
Who cares? It didn't even matter. So Turkey was going home. US was advancing. Didn't matter. So let the guys who made it to the World Cup, who typically don't get to play, let them play. You know what I mean? Right. We're trying to build a program, not just a team.
Do you know what? Complacency is just nothing to worry about. Germany wasn't complacent. The Netherlands weren't complacent. Don't even worry about it. Just cruise it. You just walk into a win. You'll be fine, I'm sure.
That's right. So anyway, all right. Well, I need to start watching. I haven't, the other thing that I've didn't realize is that I didn't realize that UFC has fights every Saturday night. I didn't know this. Huh. And so I need to start watching those more
often. Beat the crap out of each other.
I know. It's been fun to watch that stuff. So anyway, yeah.
Another thing before we get out of sport.
Okay, let's hear it.
LeBron, he's out. He's gone. He's leaving.
LeBron James. Is he? Is he done?
LeBron, he's done. The Lakers.
So have I told you this? Have I told you this inside joke that me and my son have? So there's so many foreign sounding players now. We have so many players from overseas and stuff. And so to make LeBron James sound more like one of the foreign players, we call him LeBron James. So
LeBron James. Yeah, he's
LeBron James.
Gone ski.
Okay, so is he done? Retired? He's done?
No. He's just leaving the Lakers.
Where's he going?
Don't know. Could be the Heat. Could be the Cavs. Could be the Warriors. It'd be funny if he ends up at the Warriors. But yeah.
Well, you know what? So Dusty May, who led Michigan, the University of Michigan, to a national title in basketball last year, which I was privileged to be able to go watch. It was super cool. So it was in Indianapolis, which is like a 3-hour drive from us. And all the Arizona fans were offloading their tickets because they were their team lost and they were supposed to win, and Michigan just destroyed them. So people were offloading the tickets. So we got cheap tickets and got to go watch Michigan win the national championship. But he is leaving Michigan and going to coach the Mavs.
Yeah, I saw that. He got picked up for
the Mavs.
Pretty cool. So good on him.
Yeah. I mean, good on him. It sucks for us. I really would have loved to have him for a few more years. But
Hey,
They
if you can
won
get
totally.
a NBA team, like not
I get
everyone can be the head coach of UConn and turn down the Los Angeles Lakers, you know. But
Right. So,
some
I
people
mean,
want to go and
it's
coach the Mavs. Sure.
yes. So
Only made a generational whiff trading Luka for Anthony Davis, who's now injured in Washington. Sure, go and coach the Mavs, I guess.
that was a rough one. Luka leaving, that was a rough one. But and now LeBron James is leaving the Lakers, where so I don't know. I don't follow the basketball stuff too closely either. My
Austin
family
Reeves
is a big
re-signed with the
football
Lakers.
team.
There was like,
or a big football family.
He's
so
gonna go on a
both are.
Supermax, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Austin's going to leave the Lakers. He's going to get a $250 million 4-year Supermax deal somewhere. No, he took a cut. $185 million to stay with the Lakers. So LeBron's gone. We got that mammoth friggin' disaster of a contract off the books finally because he's not going to take a pay cut. So maybe we'll build some pieces around Luka now.
There you go. That'd be great.
Clear,
I'd love to see the Lakers have another sort of a big rally. It was really fun when Kobe was there, and that was a fun time to be watching the Lakers. So
yeah, it's good to see that they're finally building around the future. LeBron, LeBron 41, greatest 41-year-old to ever play the game, only 41-year-old to ever play the game. Whatever the stupid stats are, he was getting paid like a guy that had been a 20-year superstar, which is great for him. Terrible for the organization. So we'll see what happens now.
Peace out, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Peace out.
What do we got? What are we going to talk about?
You know what? Let me think about this for a second. We have been trying to think what we've been doing recently. I will say that, we talked about our whole thing with permissions a while back, like, and how we were switching everything over to like a different structure. And I will say it has been unreal, like how nice and flexible it has become. So the big mistake that we made, and is a mistake that I would encourage you not to repeat, is we used roles for everything, which is fine to an extent. But it's just long term, it's not super manageable. And so, especially if you're dealing with a lot of users and things like that. So my encouragement would be to move your management of roles and users that belong to those roles outside of the application layer. So what we did is we put all the permissions in the application, but then we said the roles that get those permissions and the users that get those roles are managed outside of the application, which is a bit of a trick, but we figured out a way for ourselves to do it. I guess if the trick is just you need to have a good way to be able to manage that, where you can associate roles with users and multiple permissions with roles very easily without having to do code changes. That's probably the better sort of piece of advice there. Make it super easy to associate any permissions you want with any role you want. Make it easy to create roles, completely free. And then make it super easy to associate users with roles. That's it. That's like the tagline here. And it has just been so much better that we don't have to invoke code changes in order to do anything. Any permission that anybody wants, anything you can do in our application, super easy to give it to anyone. It's wonderful. The other thing that we did that was freaking amazing is we did permission leases, which is somebody gets a permission temporarily. So they get a permission for a period of time, and then it auto expires. So you don't have to remember to go expire it after the fact. It auto expires. And then the last thing we did is we did delegated management of users. So if there's a person who manages 10 users and they're going to be stepping out for the month, somebody needs to be able to manage those users. And so somebody can delegate their permissions to another user, delegate their direct reports to another person. And so that person basically is not imitating them, because that's the problem. If you imitate a person, every action you do looks like that other person did it. And that's not what we were after. We were after saying, no, you can do the things that they could do, but it still tags it as you that did it. And so that's a delegated permission or delegated management of users. And so those three things together, that was the magic. And it's been awesome. It's been working across all of our applications. And I would say that if anybody has any questions on any of that, please reach out to me. I'd love to share with you how we did it. But that has been a big, huge thing. And every time I run into these permission things, which I've had a lot of them recently, lots of restructuring. It's just no problem. You just manage it super simply, and it's been really, really good. So that's been wonderful. And then the other things that we're working on is integration of Apple Pay and Google Pay into some of our stuff. And so I'm excited about that. I think it's going to help a lot with people getting onboarded and getting their payments up really quickly. And then the last thing that we've been working on is automated texting conversations. And so what I'll say about this, the things that I've learned about this is that if you are texting back and forth with a user and you want to give them options to do something, don't make them type in words, right? So if you have multiple actions they can take, don't make them type in words. Give them numbers as options. So, for example, they text the word pay. We look up their account and we say, hey, looks like your most recent payment was for $200 ending in this, for this Visa ending in 4242. Do you want to, 1, repeat that payment, 2, change the amount, 3, change the payment method, or 4, cancel? Because otherwise, it's literally impossible for them. You had to type in confirm, or if you didn't type confirm, then you need to type in a number value that is the new amount that you want. But you have to explain all this in that text, and it's terrible. And so giving them number options, number one, makes it way easier to parse their responses, what they're trying to accomplish. But then 2, it gives you the ability to be able to provide more options much more clearly than you could if you were just using, reply with this special keyword, which gets really tricky. And so that's been a huge benefit for us as well. And I know we're only at like 12 minutes. I've got to go in like 3 minutes. So I'm gonna let you tell me what we're working on. So what you're working on. So hit me. What do you got?
Well, we are going through this uplift project at the moment for our lender submission stuff, which has been an interesting experience. We've actually got a contractor in. The funny part about that is that the contractor that we've got in was my boss when I was working in an agency like 10 years ago. So now he works for me, which is wonderful, which we've joked about a few times. But we've been just doing this uplift, onboarding new lenders or lenders that have been on our panel for a long time that we've now actually started to build our integrations. The documentation is varied amongst them. Sometimes they provide really good JSON API docs or Swagger docs or whatever. The trickier bit is around whether or not there's contextual documentation, like actual prose that says, you need to send this in these circumstances, or when we ask for this, or when this error happens, to have that kind of documentation, which I've seen from a couple of lenders, is really, really helpful. And I suppose that more broadly, like if you're writing API docs, if you're doing scramble documentation, for example, put in the extra effort, I think, wherever possible, especially if the docs are going to be consumed publicly, to put in as much context and information around those scramble docs as you can. Whatever shape that documentation takes, provide context. Don't just provide a list of keys and values. I think that's very unhelpful, both from a consumer perspective and also for like anyone that has to support that. So that's been really good. It's been really interesting, as I said, looking at the varying degrees of quality. One lender that I'm working with at the moment, we get the full documentation, we get the Swagger docs, we get the contextual docs. Very simple to go, hey, AI, Claude, here's the docs, go and like build out the DTOs and the enums for me. And then we have to go through and like map our internal data structures onto the external docs, but that's an easier process when you've got everything already in place. So very helpful having that, because Claude very good at reading JSON spec and figuring out how to convert that into a PHP DTO. So that has been the main thing. We departed our offshore team probably about a month ago now, 6 weeks ago, and so we finally got to the point where we could bring on another developer locally who's picked up some of that work. So they're an intermediate developer, but they've done they've had an exceptional start. They ask really thoughtful questions. They've been developing for 17 years or something like that, but they've come on from an agency background, so they ask really good questions. They do the research. They go and look at things before they come and ask you for help, which has been very pleasing as a new starter. And they've hit the ground running, doing all kinds of wonderful things. But in light of the offshore team being departed from our world, it means that the rest of the team is now picking up the IT help desk. And when I say IT help desk, it's like support of our main application. It's not like my printer's not working help desk. It's specifically the application stuff. And so that's been an interesting eye opener to look at that process and kind of figure out.
So your software dev team is now picking up IT tickets, basically. Okay.
Yeah. So this I went here. I got a 500 error, or this process doesn't work with that kind of stuff. So it was kind of picked up ad hoc by a couple of the other guys for the first few weeks, and then we spun the wheel to see who's going to do it, to like figure out what the schedule would be. And of course, I drew the short straw, so I got the first 2 weeks, and it's been good.
So you're doing it like 2 weeks at a time. That's 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And now, is that your only responsibility during that 2 weeks, is to answer tickets, or do you have other small features and stuff?
Primarily it's that. There's also like any BAU tasks, so business as usual tasks that come up. Fixing things, miscellaneous bug fixes, et cetera, that get raised by the product team and things like that. So there's no new feature work. And then I'm like working on these lender integrations in the background as well between tickets. But it's the kind of thing that like I'll check it in the morning, I'll check it after lunch, I'll check it at the end of the day. It's not like a full-time thing. There's been a recurring issue that is like, we know that it's an issue, but we can't really do anything about it because we're waiting on some other thing to happen, like at a business, like at a board level, for them to decide what we're going to do. Yeah. So we get like 15 tickets a day. That's like, couldn't do this because this related record was missing. So I went through and send the PR this morning to quote unquote fix that, which is basically, if this is the exception, report it. Don't report it. Log a warning, and like don't report it in the queue failing handler that we've got. Yeah. So that goes into the ticket system. It's like we know it's a thing. There's not actually anything that we can do about it. There is a manual business process in place to circumvent this particular issue anyway, and has always been there. So like just make this useless ticket go away. So that was good fun.
Now, does every time there's an error in your application, does it automatically create a ticket?
No, so the tickets that are created are only from failing queue jobs.
Okay.
So we've got like in our app service provider, there's a queue.op failing with a job failed event like closure, and we go through there, and it's like if we're in production, then go and like pull all the information together and then log a help desk ticket, because the queue failing ones can be a little bit more obscure in terms of like they're hidden if you're not looking for those things. And it's the kind of things that are like, we create folders in Box, like a folder hierarchy when we created a new person in our CRM. And sometimes that fails. Like sometimes Box goes down and we don't have any visibility over that, because this is like creating this happens in the background. And sometimes Box just goes down and we've got to go figure out like, is it our issue? Is it their issue?
Have they logged it's nothing report? Anybody can report. Yeah.
So those kinds of things go in there. And then there's also, so they're the automated tickets. Then there's also, we've got like level 2 support for the business side of things, which is like our users, our internal users, our external users reporting bugs. This doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. Our level 2 person will go through and they'll like figure out, is this a training thing? Is this an actual bug, et cetera, et cetera. And then they log tickets. So they act as like the funnel between the business and the engineering team to resolve those kinds of things. So it's funny, the kinds of things that crop up. Like there was an issue with our Google address autocomplete stuff.
Okay.
Like the way that we're doing it is that we've got like the Google address lookup is wrapped in a MUI component. So we're using MUI, which is the Material UI framework for our front end. Because they've got some good React support and all the front ends built in React. So we're using that. And the way that we had set it up was that if there was only a single, like if you type your full address before, the deep bounce and you get the result set back, and there was only one result that came back, it just wouldn't show any results, which was an interesting bug to find, because by all accounts, it has been there since this address autocomplete functionality was put into the platform. And like no one's reported it, or it's been like an
Yeah.
anecdotal report, like, oh, such and such said this didn't work, but then someone went to
It's
try it
so
and it was
hard.
there.
It's so hard to find those things, man. It's like you have to rely on a user to report it enough times that it actually becomes like that
Right.
actually is a real thing. Or like,
Yeah.
we had something that had worked perfectly forever. Like since it was a saved payment methods, like they would sync down from the payment provider and sync down these saved payment methods. Worked perfectly for years and years and
Yeah.
years. And so when people were like, this person called in and asked if we could remove these saved payment methods. Can we do that? Like, yeah, sure. So we removed it. They're like, they logged in, they said it's still there. I'm like, I'm looking at the response from the payment provider. It's not there. Like, there's nothing there. And they're like, well, I'm saying there is. And I'm like, okay. So like, I went to the banking team. I'm like, hey, I need you to go remove this. So they're like, I'm showing you, like, it's removed. I'm like, great. So I go back and I'm like, okay, sync the save payment methods. And it's still there. And I'm like, what the heck? And so what ended up happening is like, we missed in one pull request. I'm sure it was Claude, decided that there was a plural that should have been singular because there was only a single filter being applied. So why would you make that a plural like thing? And so it removed an S. Account filters. And it changed it to account filter because we were only returning active, but account filters was the correct word you needed to use. And so it just stopped working. It was returning all payment methods, regardless of if you had removed them, deleted them, retired them. But yeah, it's like so hard for those sorts of things. It's like the point you were making, like, apparently this has been happening since we released it. Like, you know what I mean? Since it was ever even in place.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like those address lookup things are very interesting because most people, I would say, are very slow to type. So they would type like number, street name, street type, and then they would stop at that point and you would get a list of multiple results. And then you would often, because, Google's address lookup is pretty good, you would get the one you wanted and you
it's pretty quick.
It'd be no problem. But if you type quickly, or it's like
autofill, if it's like a saved profile with one password or something,
right. If you autofill it, or you copy paste it, you've got an email from a client with their address in it, and you copy paste it in there, and you paste it in there, and you get an exact match. Well, it just didn't show, and I'm like, well, I don't know, I can't reproduce it. Like it's working, and then it's going, hang on, there is definitely a result coming back from the API. I can see it in the inspector. Like there is one record there, so it gives you something to kind of pull on that thread. You go, hey Claude, if there's only one result, I can see it coming back from the API, but it is not being set. And what it ended up being was like the material components, like default filter, would look for an exact match or something. And because it was not there, it would just like scrub it from the list. And so you'd end up with no results. So it's just funny the kind of things that turn up. That's like, as I said, if it's anecdotally reported, like what did they call them? BSM, a business sales manager, whatever they are. That like, that they're responsible for a number of brokers in their portfolio, for example. They hear about it anecdotally, like this one person was reporting it, but they can't do anything, or they don't chase it up, or they don't follow it up, or whatever. And then eventually, it was announced, hey, Michael's on helpdesk this week, so this BSM was then straight to me, and it's like, hey, can I just escalate this? I'm like, can't escalate a ticket that doesn't exist. Like if there is no ticket logged for this, there's no like, don't just come to me with a problem. I'm like, where did they enter it? What did they type? What was the address that didn't work? Like, please, any information would be helpful.
You're the favorite IT guy. Everybody loves when the IT guy says that. When you're like, sorry, I can't do anything about it. You got to write all this stuff up.
I've been here 4.5 years and I've never had to do any of the help desk stuff. So I'm like, I don't know what the actual process is.
Yeah.
I want to help you, but also I don't want to do something that like the next person that does this is now going, well, hang on, that's not the process. I shouldn't, So I was like, just if there's a
put a ticket in, put a ticket in.
There is a whole process for this. There has never changed. It's like, create the ticket. If it's like urgent, the sky is falling, then there's a process for escalation and there's a channel in Slack that you escalate, etc. So anyway, I was like, none of this had happened. And it's like, it's only broken sometimes and no one can tell me when. I'm like, it's not, the platform is not working. It's this one aspect of this one part of the thing is not working in some situations that you can't explain to me. So I'm like, I'm not going to spend a day trying to figure out what's going on. Provide me with some details.
The thing is with that too, is like whenever you make an exception, inevitably that person will now only ever talk to you and they'll never put in the ticket. I have a lady who does that. It's like, I think it doesn't matter what her name is, but it's the same person. And every time she has a question or problem, she doesn't ever put in the ticket. She just asks me directly. And it's like, I should just start being like, no, you have to put a ticket in. Whoever's handling those will handle it. But like, I'm not
Yeah,
just
and
going
it
to
gets
keep
to the
answering
point
these
that it's
random
been like
questions.
2 years, 5 years, 6 years. It's
Yeah.
like it's too
Yeah.
late now. You can't say,
Yeah. And
well,
honestly,
this
I
is not the
don't,
process.
yeah, it has gotten to the point too where I do not feel bad not answering her for like 3 days. It's like, well, you're gonna have to wait.
Mm.
Like I got other stuff I'm working on. Like
Yeah, if it was urgent,
you
they'd be
texted,
banging
yeah,
on
you
some doors.
messaged, right? You messaged one of the most busy people in this department, and so you're just gonna have to
Hmm.
wait. Like, or I'm gonna, if it's really important, you'll have to report it to your manager, and then they can put the ticket in, whatever. So anyway, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But
So that's
but
that's been
yeah,
an interesting thing. I do my previous employer, when I started there, the first I think 2 weeks, I was on the phones, like I was talking to customers of the platform, which I think is an underrated thing to do in businesses where you've got like external
it's
customers where
insanely
they
important.
can actually
Yeah.
contact you, whether it's on the phones or if it's through chat, if you've got support chat or a ticketing system, whatever. I think it's a really valuable way to interact with real users of your platform and seeing the kinds of issues that they're coming up against, because it makes you much more considerate of what the people, the consumers of your application, and also the people that are supporting those users internal to your organization, like the kinds of things that they face day to day. Because they might just consider it to be like a business as usual thing. Oh yeah, this person has caught up with this problem again, and it's like this is the process we go through to fix it. It's like, well, how do we stop that kind of call from
Yeah, is
coming
that
through
kind
in the
of,
first
so that's
place?
the question. Like when you say BAU, business as usual, is that just like, hey, these are errors that happen occasionally that need to have manual intervention, but there's a
Yeah,
solution like guide for how we solve this problem. It's just
yeah,
not something that's worth solving automatically or
yeah.
unable to solve automatically. Okay, gotcha.
But like sometimes those things like come up from the frontline people who then speak to the
Yeah.
level 2 person, and they figure out, oh yeah, this is the process to do that. And so it stops at that level 2 support person. It's like, well, we could fix this properly so that this doesn't happen at all, rather than you having
Yeah.
to go through these 3 manual steps
We can
every
just
time.
eliminate the problem. Yeah. Altogether.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, I think sometimes we can get a bit ahead of ourselves as engineers and be like, I don't have to talk to the customers. I'm like, nah, I think it's valuable, and I think it's been a very long time coming that this rotation has come in, and I think we will be better as a team for it, because sometimes
Absolutely.
some of it, like myself included, we'd be like, oh no, I don't. I mean, I don't typically touch any of the customer facing stuff. A lot of mine is integration work and back end and things like that. So I don't have lots of hands on. And like within the first 2 days of doing this, I've already been submitting PRs and changing the front end, which is wildly inappropriate, I think, because
Hmm.
there's a good chance I break it because I don't understand it enough to make changes to it. But Claude said it was fine, and someone signed off on the PR, so I'm sure it's fine.
That's funny. We it's like what you said was about it being like underrated. I do agree, and like we're right now working on sort of um your ability to be able to tier in your job title and your job role, being able to like get like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the requirements I'm looking at adding back in that we've previously had in there is to like certify for a role in another department. So basically, each department has a list of like, you have to know how to do these things in order to be able to certify that you know how to do this job function. And
Mm-hmm.
so basically, it's for my team members, I would say you need to spend enough time in that department that you can actually go through and certify for that role. And so you're
Yeah.
going to know literally everything that that team does. You're going to sit and like almost like you're a new hire in that group for probably a week. And you're going to go through and
Mm-hmm.
you're going to at least, I'm trying to figure out, do I actually care that they can do it? Do I need to prove that the person can do it? Or do I
Mm-hmm.
just care more that they kind of know what they're doing and can speak
Yeah.
intelligently about each of the processes? I think probably that's more important. I don't
Yeah.
actually want them to sit down and do the work and be proficient and be able to say like, well, I can get X number of tasks done in this amount of time. I don't care about
Mm-hmm.
that. I just want them to know that when something breaks, they have a clue what that team is talking about. Or if a process is broken, they know which leader to go talk to figure out
Yeah.
who what's wrong. And so yeah, I'm working on that because I do think you're right. Like we sometimes we just kind of hole up in our little offices and don't really have to interact with those outside, the people
Yeah.
who are actually using the problems or the applications. And so there's a lot of things that are like efficiencies that could be built in that if a developer sat
Mhm.
down for 10 minutes, they'd be like, oh, we could fix that real quick, like no
Yeah.
problem. And so
Yeah.
I think a lot of efficiency improvements and
And
a
a lot
lot
of the
of
time we don't know
better
about it.
understanding too. Right. Exactly. That's the thing.
Because
Yep.
like we
Because
don't
they don't
see
hand
it
it up.
ourselves. They've like found a way to work around it. They're like, well, this is
Right.
just what we do when that happens, and and that last job where I started, like my first 2 week was answering
Yeah.
phones. I was still in the support queue. Like if there was an influx of calls or someone was off sick, my phone would still ring in those situations to help out. Because it was an all hands on deck situation at that point. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, and
Yeah.
is valuable, and as you said, getting into a department and understanding what they're doing, you may become the point of contact for like that area
That's
of
right.
the software that you're the bridge between the engineering team and that business unit if something happens. And then sometimes you could speak more intelligently to the problem that they're facing from an engineering perspective, but you
Yeah.
understand what they're facing because you've seen it from the other side of the coin as well. So
Yeah. And I actually we've seen
but
that
yeah,
play out as
our
well.
current organization is very good at we do this thing like every 3 months called leading teams, which is like it's an all in where we sit down and we would do um kind of like, I don't want to say team building exercises, but it's like about building rapport and getting to know people that you don't really know day to day, like that I don't have much engagement with. But you sit
Hmm.
down and you get grouped up with people that you wouldn't normally talk with, and you would talk about what's going on in your life, what are you excited about, what what's challenging you at work, so that everyone kind of gets to know each other a bit more than just a name in Slack. And it's the idea being that like you build high performing teams around trust and communication and things like that. If I can see that Jake's tired, well, I can understand why, because he's just had a new
Yeah.
baby or whatever else, that kind of thing, that you kind of put yourself in their shoes and you get a much more cohesive and high performing team out of it across the board when you know that people are speaking with each other beyond just punching cards and doing the job. So
Okay, one other thing that we've actually just been working on that goes right along with what you're talking about, which is that people are more than the sum of their productivity at work, right? They obviously there's a lot of stuff going on outside of the walls of the building that they work in, or if they work remote, right? So something we've been doing for like the last 5 years, which has been very interesting, is we do these weekly reports. And
mhm.
so on Friday, a bunch of people do these, right? Check-ins. But it's not just like, hey, what was your productivity? It's like, what is your stress? And there's like, you ever seen those little pain charts that they use for kids where it's like the sad face, and then you know what I mean? Or it's like it starts out with like a
Mhm.
paint level of 0 and has a green
Mhm.
face with a little happy
Mhm.
kid. And
Yeah, yeah.
then it's like the yellow, and then it goes all the way to the red. And so you
Right.
have the kid
Yeah.
like point at like, which face are you feeling right now? Right. So they have a hard time associating like a word with it, but they know just looking at the picture, that's how I'm feeling
Yeah.
right now. Right.
Yeah.
And so instead of it being like how was your stress this week? And it being like low, a little bit, like it just uses the faces. It
Mhm.
says like
Mm,
green,
mm.
I low stress, I'm doing good,
Yeah.
or a little bit less green, yellow, orange, red. And so they can report like, here's what my stress was. And then they can say what it is. They can say how was my workload and how that was. And I'm trying to remember what the other one is. I think it's personal
Yeah.
stress, workload. And then they talk about they have an opportunity to talk about each of those. And then there's what was the high for the week, what was the low for the week. Those are the questions. And so the only fill in the blank sort of things that that are required are the high and the low. And then they submit that. And then what we do is as a leadership team, like the entire, like all the chiefs, all the directors meet every Monday, and anybody who is orange or below on any of those measures, we look at their high low report and see like how
Mhm.
are things going for that person? Is there anything we can do to help that person? Whatever. But those aggregate reports is what we're building right now, which has been pretty cool. So being able to see like, hey, what's the trend line for this department? How are they feeling as stress like overall for that entire
Mhm.
team? Like, is the entire team sort of feeling a certain thing? And then we can do sentiment analysis on like, let's look at an aggregate of their reports. Hey, Claude, like, or not Claude, we don't use Claude for this, but our internal AI tool.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me to summarize the sentiment of these people here, right? What are we feeling about this? And so
Mhm.
that's been pretty cool. But yeah, to speak to the point that you're making, which is, it's most of the time, the people who they're filling those reports out, it's hardly ever work stuff. I mean, I would say probably half the time it's work, and other times it's like my dog is having surgery because whatever, or my kid got sick this week and like I had to take a day off work. I'm feeling behind, and we can be like, hey manager, can you like jump in and help them with their work because they had a sick kid this week and stuff that you just would never know about otherwise. And so it's been pretty cool to do that.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you work with these people all the time, but they're like work personality and that's all you see. But knowing that someone's unwell, you just pick up the phone and you can text them. If they're not at work or if like someone's sick or someone, something's happened, you can just pick up the phone and say, hey, don't need to tell me what's going on, but I heard that, you're not going to be there or stuff's tough. Hope everything's okay. Like just the human connection beyond just the work thing.
You got it. You got it. All right, man. What else do we got here? I was gonna say that that 3 minutes lasted about 25 minutes, but my son was I got extra time. He was at the theater and was like, I asked him before we started our podcast, I was like, hey, what time are you gonna need to be picked up? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, how far are you along in the movie? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well. The runtime for this movie is like an hour and 45, and he was supposed to be there at 8, but the previews take a half hour, so like I should be good until like 10:20, Well, then he texted at like 5 till 10, was like, hey, I need picked up. I'm like, oh, of course you do. And so anyway, I was like, I'll come get you in a couple minutes. My wife was like, I'll go get him. So anyway, thank you to my wonderful wife who went and got him late at night so that I didn't have to.
Things for me to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's crazy. Like we're trying to figure out like curfew times and stuff. Like you're thankful that they have friends to go hang out with. They're good kids. I know the kids that he's hanging out with, but it is like trying to balance like, okay, what is a reasonable time to be home,
Yeah.
He's
and
like he's
against
15.
Like what time the other kids are going to be home.
Totally.
Like as well.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be the one that's always too early, but also yeah.
Right. But he does tend to hang out with kids who are a little bit older. So like the other kids have their licenses. So like they can get home whenever they want. He doesn't. And so we have to run and pick him up and stuff. So it's like it is good. I mean, like you want them to go be with friends. You don't want to just be sitting at home bored by themselves, but it's just, we're in this weird spot right now where he's doing that. He's out with friends, but like he doesn't have his license yet. So 4 months he'll have his license and it'll be a little bit easier for him to be able to get around. But then you have to worry about, is he being safe? Is it whatever? All those things.
He's driving, he's going to get pulled over, all this kind of stuff.
You got it.
Crazy.
You got it. And he likes fast cars. So,
He can have a fast car when he can buy his own.
That is correct.
One last thing. I am leaving for Boston for Laracon US in 24 days. I have sussed out what I, as an Australian, believe will be good coffee. I've got I sent a few of these recommendations to Gen Z Abby, or Gen Z Abby, because we don't say Z in Australia.
Okay, Gen Z.
But Gen Z. So I've sussed out a couple of places that I think will be good coffee. Donuts are apparently a very big thing in Boston. So I've sussed out a few
Boston
donut
cream
places.
Boston cream donuts, yeah.
Yep. And a friend of mine who is a big Boston man loves the Celtics, the New England Patriots, the Boston Red Sox. He's in on Boston sports. He's suggested to me a place to go and get some cannoli. So
let's go.
To you guys last night.
I saw that.
In the group chat. So we're doing that the day after. I'm gonna go and check out these.
Big
cannoli.
fan. Yes.
So,
no, I'm going, dude. I'll be there.
Good.
I just hope they have.
Fantastic.
I hope they have. Oh, that's not gonna be funny anymore. I lost it. What's the name of that crap that you guys eat? The spread.
Vegemite.
The spread. Vegemite.
Vegemite.
Vegemite on the cannoli. Yeah, Vegemite cannolis.
No,
Yeah,
I found this one
boy.
place that does a rosemary sea salt bagel.
Oh my gosh, I'm literally like drooling right now just hearing the
bacon and
words.
scallion schmear. So I one of those up.
Gosh, that sounds amazing. Now I've heard traffic is absolutely terrible, so I considered. I here's the deal, not seriously, but I did consider like bringing my one wheel, but the whole point is to be walking with the people you're with, not to like be speeding around, So it's like I don't know. Yeah,
there's one place that's got these maple bacon donuts. And I was like, that's a 30-minute walk away. And thank God it's a 30-minute walk.
Yeah, dude, I'd go with that.
Also, apparently, apple cider donuts are available here.
Okay.
Which, as a Michigan man, this is a thing.
Yes, absolutely. Apple cider donuts for sure. We used to have we used to have an orchard that we would stop. It was on our way to church and on our way to school. And every year when they'd be making cider, we would go get apple cider donuts and cider. It was amazing. So good.
So, all of these things. But if you are more local to Boston than what I am, because pretty much everyone would be more local to Boston than what I am. But if you have recommendations for coffee or donuts or cannoli, I'm happy to walk to the north end from SOA where I'm staying. So,
or a Sam Adams lager.
Lager.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. Anyway, looking forward to it. 24 days away. It's sneaking up quickly. The kids are last week of school. Then they've got 2 weeks of holidays for end of term 2, and then they'll be back for a week, and then I'm off. So it's coming.
We need to talk about the Australian schedule for school sometime. We need to put that on the list for the next time. I don't understand how it works for you guys. I'm curious.
We have the summer holidays when it's summer, the same way that you have summer holidays when it's summer.
But for how long?
Summer holidays are 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So yeah, so we're way off. We're off for longer than that. That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like you guys take more frequent, shorter breaks. We take less frequent but longer breaks. So like in the summertime, my kids are off from May. They're off May, June, July. They don't go back till August. Yeah, so they're off for like 3 months basically. Not really, but like
what are they doing for 3 months?
What are you hanging out? Summertime, dude. Just chilling. Like it's great. Like it's wonderful. You get a whole break for the whole summer.
I get it. It's great, but like this is the thing that I don't understand. The kids have 12 weeks of holidays a year.
Okay.
Most jobs give you 4 weeks of annual leave a year. So like,
yeah, right. So you're,
weeks?
I get you. You're saying like, how do parents be parents for 12 weeks at it, or, for like in a row, just like, yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
So we've got out of school programs and things like that go to during the day. So they're not just sitting at home. And our kids are
they have
young.
those
like,
here. This summer camp
programs.
They can't
just go places.
Yeah.
But it's like, parents need to, like my mum was a stay-at-home mum. So that we were just home with mum during the holidays. Yeah. But like we both work. So it's like, what do you do? Fortunately, I work from home, so it's okay for the kids to be here. But so we got 4 terms. Let's do this quickly and then we can wrap up. We got 4 terms a year. Terms are typically between 10 and 11 weeks.
Okay.
So every 10 to 11 weeks, they then have a 2 week.
2.5 months. You have a 2.5 month term, basically. Yep. Okay.
Yep. As you get older, then we do, semesters. So you've got semester 1 is term 1, term 2, and then semester 2 is term 3 and term 4, which is relevant more for high school because you will change subjects mid-year and things like that, to kind of prepare you for post-high school and things like that. That's pretty much
so
what it is.
So you
weeks.
do
so it's usually
6
like
weeks in between each term?
2 weeks between terms.
2 weeks between terms. Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. And 6 weeks at the end of the year. So it's usually the week before Christmas until the end of January.
Okay, the week before Christmas under January. Okay, that makes sense. So it's like you have a Christmas break, and then through January you're off, and that's like your summer break.
Yeah, that's the summer break.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Back to it. Get out of the house, kids.
Yep. And it is funny that like your breaks line up with your Christmas for summer. For us, it's the middle of winter, and so it's like it doesn't make kids don't want to like take a 6-week break in the middle of winter. Like
no, that's right.
So we do. We take a little bit shorter break. Yeah, we take like a 2-week break at Christmas time. Christmas and New Year, and then you're back at it. You get like a couple days for Thanksgiving, or I guess maybe a week. I don't know. I can't remember all of it, but my wife stays at home too. My wife stays at home. Just get out of here. Andy Hinkle said, he was like, "Oh, Michael was giving you crap about never working the other day." It's so funny.
It's true.
My word. It's not true. It's not true.
I feel like you're going away all the time.
When? Like, what did I do? I'm like, okay, so like, give me the most recent.
All these vacations.
I was like the one recent one
in Michigan. Like,
no, okay, well that was over a weekend. That wasn't like anything like I wasn't off of work for that. I left for a weekend.
Don't go away for weekends. Just stay at home. It's too much.
Well, dude, it's like I haven't been to Michigan for like years, and so I needed to get up there and see some family. So I went over a weekend. So that was that. The golf thing was for work. So that was that. So there's no off work time for either of those. So I don't want to hear about it, okay? And I do have actual vacations coming up. Like we're going to Cedar Point in a couple weeks. So that'll be fun. That's a great time. All right. Sounds good. All right, let's wrap it. Go ahead. What is our damage our friendship based on my PTO schedule? How is this going to work? Are you jealous of my PTO? Is that what is this?
I am. Okay. I'm not willing to find out. Let's cut it off. 196.
All right. Let's 196. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. northmeetsouth.audio/196 for show notes. Hit us up on X at Michael Dorinda, at Jacob Bennett, and rate us up in your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars would be incredible. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Donuts, coffee, cannoli. Let's go.
See you there. Bye.